Hey guys, this is Dave from I'm Vanguard.
And I guess I'm Daniel from I Am Vanguard.
Back again with the deck profile of the amazing Thingsaver Abyss. Daniel was actually my test dummy for a while, well, a day, and he got pretty much dominated. This deck is actually pretty devastating, and then of course in Japan you're not allowed to mix the Shadow Paladins with Royal Paladins unless you're running MOB, and you can only run 4 Blaster Darks anyways.
But that hasn't reached the stage yet, so if you want to build it, then go crazy.
Alright, starting off with the starter, I am running the best starter for Royal Paladins, after the Great 3 Searcher actually. Wingo Brave. Wingo Brave I do run because I can still search for the Phantom Blaster Abyss, so I can get my 3 accurately, or I can just search for any other blasters I have in my deck.
Yep, and guess what guys? This thing works when you're attacking the rearguard too.
Yup. So, if the opponent sets out a rearguard and you want your grade 3 that bad, just go for the rearguard and get your grade 3. And next off, I am running 4 Thingsavers. I didn't say Abyss this time. Alright. Thingsaver is the Legion made as Blaster Blade Seeker. It's actually the thing that actually dominated the Japanese meta for a while. Of course, just itself, it was pretty devastating, but the help of Abyss, it's actually it's actually the best deck. For those of you that don't know what it does, of course you Legion, and then you get to Counterblast 2, Soul Blast 3. If you attack, you can
Pay the
cost, and then activate the skill, which is you ride into Thingsaver again, and then take out the Blaster Blade in the Soul.
And
Legion. So pretty good. I mean, not pretty good. It's really good.
Of course, you're gonna be swinging for 20k by itself for 2 times, so.
Or possibly 3 times, depending on the counterblast and soul that you have.
Depending on how many resources you have left, then it is possible to pull it off again after you use the first time. But just by itself, swinging for 20k 2 times, that's already very, very devastating, because you're gonna need at least a booster or something for any kind of restander for them to actually have a devastating effect on your opponent to spend the resource. But this one, you can just attack by itself for 20k.
Right, so you can just attack the Vanguard and then save the rearguards for later, and then just push with the rearguards to finish the game if you can't finish it with Thingsaver. Going to the other grade 3s, I run 1 Soul Saver, because just in case I want to finish it off with Soul Saver, just giving the 5Ks to rearguard, and it can technically be searched with the Pungle here. So I think it's a really good deck, and then it just helps provide the card into Soul. So just an extra rearguard if you need it, or another good Vanguard.
If you want to make use of the Soul in another way.
Right. I mean, after you're done with the counterblast, you won't have any counterblast left, and you'll have a bunch of Soul, so you'll just ride into Soul Saver and finish the game, or try to finish the game at least. And then the other grade 3 is, of course, it's a Revenger unit, Phantom Blaster Abyss. This card, it's basically pretty similar. I mean, it's pretty similar to Raging Form for those of you guys that know already. You Counterblast 2, sack 3 Revenger cards, and then restand it.
Of course, you can only do it during the turn that this thing does Legion. So it does mean that you'll have to do its effect the moment you do the Legion. So it doesn't have that much of a flexibility like Thingsaber does or Raging Form Dragon does, in my opinion. But he still is a very devastating card, and also the fact that he's a blaster unit is the key to success for this deck, in that Wingo Brave can search out for this guy, a restanding unit.
Which is pretty dumb on my opinion. And then, of course, you don't really have to use his Legion skill. You can just Legion and try to ride into Thingsaver and have more cards into Soul. That's what technically it was for.
Yeah, basically, and also the fact that you can get to your grade 3 very, very easily. So it's a very, very consistent deck.
And then I run more grade 2s over the 3s just because of that fact. Usually people run actually 1 Abyss and then just 4 Thingsavers, but the Soul Savers for a little bit more consistency.
Yeah. And having less of a grade 3 lineup does make it a bit more flexible for him to use more grade 2 and grade 1 option, as you guys will see.
And then of course, going to the grade 2 lineups, I am running 4 Blaster Blade Spirits, 4 Blaster Blade Seekers, 3 Blaster Dark Abyss. So right now I run a lot of blasters instead of the other grade 3 that I would have used for the grade 3s.
Of course, obviously because of the Wingo Brave.
Right. Oh, I was thinking running another Wingo Brave just because I'm running this much, but I think after you search for the grade 3, it does its job.
Yeah, it loses its significance.
But Blaster Blade Seeker, you need to activate its skill. It's Counterblast 1, retire 2 or higher if you have a Seeker Vanguard. So I mean, you'll definitely ride into your Thing Saber afterwards.
It's a very cost-efficient guy.
And then of course the Abyss, if you have a Revenger, it destroys 2 or lower. So pretty good. I think these are just really good in general. It's only Counterblast 1, which technically you'll have both Vanguard, so you'll have chances to use it, but chances are you're just going to use it on the restanding abilities. And then of course I run the 4 Blaster Blade Spirits over the Macarts because I think riding into the 10k base is really important so you can make Wingo Brave's effect active. And then of course I run the 2 Macarts because I do run 5 Legion units, so if I Legion I can call a free Revenger unit, which I have here. Free cards are always good.
And basically, he's pretty much a fuel for Abyss's effect.
Right. So basically, he's food. Abyss food. Going to the 1 lineups, I am running 4 Perfect Cards. Honestly, I think not running the Seeker one doesn't matter too much in this deck, but of course, I'll probably switch it out in the future to a Seeker Perfect Card because you can actually discard other units that are not Royal Paladins. So I think that's more useful in this kind of deck. And then going on, I'm running 3Ks because it's a blaster, so it's still a 10k attacker. Or if you ride into another blaster unit in a grade 2, you can just attack early if you wanted to. And then of course I'm running 4 Lake Maiden Lian because 1, the rest and draw is really good. 2, you can filter cards and then put stuff to the drop zone so you can Legion early and faster. Of course, I explained the Pongo already. It's Counterblast 1, put in the Soul Search for Soul Saver. An extra card in the Soul always helps. And then, of course, I run 1 Masquerade and 1 Darkbond Trumpeter, so I can activate Abyss's skill. Going to the trigger lineups, I am running 4 draw triggers. Of course, you have to run Margol because it goes into Soul. Thing Saver, I mean, pretty much you get the story. And then running 4 heal triggers because heals are heals, and 8 crits. I do run 2 Revenger crits over the extra Macart because there's always chances that I had this in the drop in the damage zone more than I had him in the deck. So I think running 2 Grim Revenger triggers won't affect the deck too much. My thoughts overall on this deck, I think it's really it's really broken. Honestly, I think it's the best deck out.
Of course, people do say that it does look kind of gimmicky in the fact that there are a lot of pieces that do look random in the deck, but the fact is that as you guys saw from the explanations earlier, there are so many cards that can just piece out the things that you need from the deck efficiently and cost efficiently. So even if the deck looks a bit wonky to you guys, the fact is that as long as you have a Blaster grade 2 and you have Wingo Brave as your starting Vanguard, then the fact is that even if your opponent does block the attack so that you can't search for it, the thing is that your opponent will not be able to expend their guards for that long to... Basically, you'll get to your grade 3 ride anyway, and they'll only be expending their shield to block those attacks. So the thing is that you'll be able to get your pieces no matter what, and Thing Saber and Abyss are 2 restanding Vanguards in your deck. So that's already about 2 opportunities for you to restand during 1 game. So that's already going to be very devastating for your opponent. And not to mention the fact that there's also a lot of utility cards you can use, like Soul Saber, Pongo Engine, to get to your grade 3 ride even more efficiently. So there's a reason why this deck did very well in Japan, and
it dominated almost like 2 sets.
Yeah, not only that it dominated, but it was very, very popular because of its efficiency. I would think that the only deck that really comes close to this kind of consistency is Galendios, in my mind. So,
well, of course, I mean, just overall worst matchups, I would say Kageros will probably try to destroy Wingo Brave, but honestly, it didn't really matter at the end because I got my pieces, like Daniel said. eventually, and then the opponent couldn't do too much. But I think this deck is actually the best deck that I've seen in the Vanguard format. So I hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile. Make sure you guys comment, rate, subscribe down below to I Am Vanguard. And like always, imagine the victory, I am Vanguard.
Peace.
Too broke.